Well, we do have quite a story to tell as an organization, and I want to share with you, kind of where we're going, and then a little bit of housekeeping that's going to bring back fond memories for you in terms of some of the challenges we're facing as an organization. But the excitement really came about. We've always been based on innovation. When you think about in your careers, we have reinvented ourselves as an organization how many times. And many of you were with me when the first time we went in school. We brought capstone programs along, we get into job shadow programs, all different. And typically it's a field-driven sort of initiative that takes hold. And so the most recent that we're working on is coming out of actually Donna's protege in Atlanta, Jack Harris. Jack came to JA USA from J International. In fact, he worked with me for a while internationally. We would go and we were the Jack Squared tour. His name was always easier to say. So Jack, when Donna retired, was named the head of JA of Georgia. But we're going to go back even farther. About 2012 in Orlando, Florida, the board and the Disney Imagineers started to think about why can't JA take the experiential learning that we do and make it bigger, run a school. And so in Orlando, they took our existing programs using a school within a school concept and started to implement a high school program, school within a school. But it was sort of a supplemental experience for the kids where the JA programs were tacked on to existing curriculum that the kids would take. You fast forward a couple years later, and Jack Harris in Atlanta took the idea and just blew it up. He got the idea we still school within a school concept. The superintendent of schools there is a very innovative guy and was basically gave Jack carte blanche to say, okay, if you were to run a school, what would you do? And he started off looking at going into a charter concept. And the more he thought about it, we were working with him, we thought about it, we don't have expertise in running a school. We don't want to run buses, we don't want to run cafeterias and all that sort of thing. And so he went back to that superintendent and shared that with him. He said, well, okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. You tell us the parts of a school you want to run, and whatever you don't want to do, we'll do. And so Jack goes through this thing with them that, we want to be able to hire and fire teachers, but we want them to be employees of the school, not JA employees. Decide on the curriculum, have a role in running that school within a school concept. And so in essence, what they've done from a funding standpoint is if you were a charter school, you'd get X amount of money per student in order to run the school. So that money is being directed into what was originally called the JA Academy. And Jack is a very sharp young guy, and he said, well, if we're going to do this, we've got to avoid all of the political problems that charters have run into, where they handpick students, doing it that way. So he went to the toughest, lowest performing high school in the Atlanta area, actually Fulton County schools, a school called Banneker High School. It was a failing school. Went in and worked this concept. So the kids are getting all of their standard courses, English, math, science, in the JA Academy, infused with JA experiences. But to me, the real secret sauce is, number one, hiring the teachers. They are union teachers, so we don't have issues there. But they are selected specifically for their skill set in terms of this whole experiential approach to learning. So that's the first part. The second part is they use kind of a case study, a Harvard case study approach to education. So during every school year, they have X amount of case studies. So for example, GE, the most recent one, GE Power came in. And they said, we're looking at investing in electrical generation, power generation, over the next 10 years. And we'd like to have you, talking to the kids, come up with a plan of how should we invest our money. And so making it very real of why am I learning math in the math class, they're using linear regression to analyze these various pieces of energy development. In science class, I guess the science teacher actually had the kids construct what a turbine is and actually built it in science. So they really made it relevant, real, and authentic for the kids in the school. Net result is the population of the school, it's about a third of the school at Banneker, and it mimicked the population of the school overall. Reading levels went up 3 grades in the first year, math levels went up 3 grades in the first 2 years. Over the period of time, they're now in their junior year. The school's been taken off the failing list, and a superintendent of schools has credited junior achievement for making that particular change. It leverages public-private dollars. So right now, we're at the point where junior achievement's cost of running a school is about $250,000, but the school is investing much more of that. I think it's a 20-to-1 ratio going in, and it just worked tremendously. And so he has been getting called. Richard Branson took him out on Necker Island for their annual retreat and talking about, so we have all sorts of philanthropists interested in this. So we have partnered with Jack at the national organization developing the curriculum, the business type curriculum that's involved, and we're moving into blended learning. So it's all digital and in experiential format, moving forward to have this thing work. Lots of excitement, lots of demand to expand the program. So over the last 2 years, I've been spending a lot of time with Jack in Washington and meeting with the National Governors Association, meeting with the chapter of Great City Schools, all the education type groups, saying, okay, here's what we're thinking about, blow holes in it. And not a person. The biggest challenge we had was with the NFT, National Federation of Teachers. And when we went in, it was like this. And the more we talked about the program, it was like this. And they're saying, yeah, we think this is going to work. Because really what we're doing is freeing up these schools to do some stuff that they know what to do. They know it has to be done, but politically with everything they're doing, they just can't. And so, for example, Jack and his team have actually fired teachers that just didn't fit into the mold of education that we're working on. And so some of the feedback that we got from all these education organizations was, okay, if you're going to roll this out, you want to make sure that there's model fidelity. And you know how JA operates. Okay, here's the kid, and Chicago does it this way, this area does it that way, everybody does their own thing. So they're talking about model fidelity, and we're thinking, okay, how's this going to work? And that was really the biggest challenge that we're looking at. And so we're actually getting into the school business. We did brand research. The term academy is a confusing term in the education system. It means a million different things. And so the pro bono brand experts that we had said, you need to invent a category. So they did all sorts of studies and ended up that the name that stuck was 3DE, true dimension of life or something like that. And the testing showed that it sounded educational, it sounded current, it sounded like using technology. And so what we're actually going to do on the model fidelity piece is create a wholly... See, I am coming to the crescendo, so that we're done. This June, the board voted to create a wholly owned subsidiary as an LLC that we will license. We own them. We will own the brand. We own all the IP, but it's going to operate separately. And so what they will be doing, and the trick to this to make it work, is over the next, I guess, 3-4 years, we're going to raise about $55 million so that when we go into a school system, National 3DE will provide 80% of the funding. The local market only needs to raise 20% of the funding. But the local employees will be jointly hired, the 3DE employees, by National 3DE and the local, which will have to create a little LLP as well. But so that we'll have a direct reporting relationship to National 3DE. And we're borrowing kind of a piece of the playbook out of a franchise system in that, like in a hotel, there's this whole idea of you build, operate, and turn over. So the National 3DE will kind of build this thing up, hire the people, run it, get the first graduating class through, have some benchmarks that have to be met along the way, and eventually turn it over to the local market to run. But we just have to make sure that as we roll this thing out, that it's standardized across the country. So it's interesting. Mixed reviews in terms of JA people. We have high demand from many and heresy from some others. And I'm thinking about, very unusual, yeah.
That's not new.
I was thinking about the first time we did in-school programs and how many of us said,